Hello, this is an introduction to the use of the Safety Barrier Manager program. In this presentation I will show you how to open an existing project file and how to navigate around in a safety barrier diagram. This introduction also applies to the Safety Barrier Viewer program. After the installation you will have a shortcut on your desktop like this. Just double click to open the program. The program will show an empty window. Now we open an existing file. We can use the menu and select Open Project, or we can use the shortcut on the toolbar. During installation, you will have got a Safety Barrier Diagrams folder installed in your Documents folder, and here we select the Aramis example with links. Now a diagram is shown in the main window. You can scroll to see the whole diagram, or we can expand the window a bit. On the right of the window we have a list of the diagrams that are included in this file. The bold one is the diagram shown at this moment. You can click on the others to show these, but you can also use the arrow keys here to navigate around. In this file the diagrams are just examples and they have no relation to each other. Very often the diagrams in one file are related. For example, they may deal with a different section of an installation. This example shows the possibility of a runaway chemical reaction in a batch reactor. Due to some deviations at the left hand side of the diagram, we may lose control over the reaction, and in the worst case it may lead to bursting of the reactor vessel. Now let us look in more detail at some of the elements in the diagram. We select an element in the diagram by clicking on it. The selected item will become surrounded by a broken red line. The information of the element is now shown in the lower part of the window. We see the type of the selected item, an initial event, we see its name, and we can see the expected frequency of occurrence, in this case expressed per year. To get to see the description, we have to expand the text by clicking on this small blue arrow, so we can see it's about electrical failure during operation. In this case we have 3 initiating events that all lead to a situation where there is no mixing in the vessel. These 3 events are linked to the no mixing event through a logical connection, in this case a so-called OR gate. That means if at least one of the initiating events happen, the no mixing event will also happen. The OR gate is in this case minimized to a single arrow, but it is a logical operator which can be selected. No extra information on this element has been included in this case. The first real barrier we find behind the no mixing event. It is called add water. We have now, apart from the name, also the quality of the barrier expressed in barrier points, and that tells you how often the barrier will fail to work. We have again possibility to expand the description, and it tells us that in this case it's the action where the operator adds water to the reactor to cool it down. This barrier is considered as being related to a generic barrier of an operator control operation. We can also expand the description. This generic barrier is of barrier type number 7, the activated barrier, which is according to a classification of barriers from the Aramis project. Finally, we can see at the bottom that the barrier includes a so-called common element. Common elements are parts of barriers that are shared with other barriers, and they represent therefore some dependency between these barriers. In the right hand corner we have a list of common elements in this diagram. When we click on the single process operator, a broken line will show linking the barriers that share this common element. Check recipe, add water and dump water. These barriers are dependent. In this case, 3 barriers require the action of an operator, and thus they may all fail if the operator is not able to take proper action. So in this way we can go through all the elements and see the information that is contained in these elements. The so-called critical event in a bow tie can be shown with a different color or edge. Boiling in the reactor is chosen here as the critical event. So you see it has a red line, it has a bold font to differentiate it from the other elements in the diagram. When we expand the description of this event, we will see that we have a hyperlink. And this link demonstrates how links can be made either to local files or to internet resources. In this case it is linked to an internet site describing the investigation of an runaway accident. Links can be attached to all descriptions of all elements. The barrier PRV on top, this means a pressure relief valve on the top of the vessel. It has some links in its own description, as you can see here. But in the bottom you can also see it is linked to a management measure, the test of PRVs. The measure applies to all safety values, so it is a measure applied to the generic barrier of pressure relief valves. And this measure belongs to some category of management, in this case hard software inspection, maintenance and replacement. The measure, the description of this measure contains a link. Such a link could typically be to the text of the procedure. In this example it's just a picture which is in the same folder as the project file. Linked files are opened using default application for the type of file on your computer. In this case the graphic file is linked to the Internet Explorer browser. The events on the right hand side are the consequences. In this project the consequences have the color according to the location of the consequence in the risk matrix that has been set up for this project. You can show this risk matrix by selecting the menu item Analysis and Show Risk Matrix. Normally it's necessary to expand this window a bit to get a full view of the full matrix. Note that the matrix includes all the consequences in the project for which the severity is defined. We will discuss that in a later demo. From the diagram we just have been looking at, we see the release event and the vessel burst. We can export this risk matrix to Excel, and that gives us the possibility to edit the matrix and to adjust it as we like, and of course we can copy it and include it in any documentation. Finally we show how to extract lists or reports, so we choose Report, Search and List. You can select the type of element that you want to see. In the drop-down box, all the different types of elements that are used in the Safety Barrier Manager program can be selected. In this case we want to see all the management measures that have been defined. So we select the measures, right-hand table, and you will see that 3 measures have been defined. You get some descriptions for what barriers they have been defined, and how they are linked to the management issues. We can export this, or we can export all tables to Excel, and it gives us the freedom to adjust the formatting of the tables, and the exports to Excel contain all the descriptions of all elements selected. This ends the first demonstration of Safety Barrier Manager. We hope it has been useful for you, and don't hesitate to contact us in case you have any questions.